Alright, so today I'm going to be pulling apart the MOKI BASSPOP and the MOSHI BASSDISK, both for the video today, and we're going to have a look at what's inside of these speakers and what sort of components make them up. And if you want to see me make this like a regular sort of series of pulling apart Bluetooth speakers and that, let me know, because I have a company that's reached out to me and are sending out some Bluetooth speakers for me to review. So if you guys want to see me perhaps pull them apart and see what's inside and do all sorts of videos like that, let me know. But with that being said, let's have a look at what's inside the MOSHI. As we will have seen in a previous video, and I might try and put this woofer into this enclosure and see what sort of results we can get. So with that being said, let's pull these things apart and see what's inside. Alright, so I'm hoping that this flathead here and the Phillips head are going to be just enough to pull these speakers apart. So I'm going to start with the MOSHI BASSPOP because I haven't pulled this thing apart before on the channel. By the looks of things, I'm just going to need to get this and wedge it in the back there and maybe pull it out some way like that. But I'm going to pull those out now and undo the screws that I think are underneath if they are. And once I've done that, I'll open it up on video. Alright, so I've now pulled these little rubber things out of the bottom of the speaker, and it has exposed the holes for where the screws are. So I'm now going to grab the Phillips head screwdriver, and hopefully it's going to be the right size. Yes, it is. And hopefully now I can pull out all of the remaining screws. Alright, so here we go, the initial reveal of what's inside the MOSHI BASSPOP. Let's open it. Whoop. Okay, so there we see the passive radiator, the driver for the main speaker just there. It's got some sort of wiring connecting it over to the amplifier board. Let's see if I can let's grab the flathead here and let's just pop this open if I can get and I can't seem to get the blade in there, so I'm just going to pull it. There we go. So now we have the speaker and the amp board completely separate. So let's take a quick look at the amplifier board. On the amplifier board we have pretty basic stuff. We got here, we can see a little opening for the microphone that is in the side there. So if you want to take calls with this speaker, you can. And the main amplifier board, and I'm assuming the battery goes back under there, so I'm not quite sure what this ribbon cable here is for, but at least now we know the amplifier board, how it fits in there. I'm not quite sure, looking at the actual mounting depth, if I'd be able to fit the MOSHI speaker in there, because that is quite a beefy and thick driver, whether or not that'd actually fit in the enclosure, but that doesn't matter either way. Oh, that's exactly what that ribbon cable would be for, is for all the little buttons on the back of the speaker here, so these can all be pressed nicely. So with that being said, we have a look at the driver. It's a slightly toned down version of what was on the MOSHI. It's a 4 ohm 2 watt little speaker. You can see it's mounted with these little screws, whereas the MOSHI sort of just presses in there. And then we have this fat as bass radiator just here that we can see that I'm just pushing the back of my finger with. My phone isn't on silent, so I apologize for that. And what's this? Oh, wow. Okay, so because this is a passive radiator speaker, the cabinet needs to be properly sealed. We can actually see here that there is a line marked out for where this here would be sealing up, so there's no air leaks out of the actual slots for the microphone and the micro USB and the auxiliary cable. So it's pretty well sealed, and we can see around here as well this white edging. There is some sealing as well, so it's gonna be no leaks out of the speaker when it's screwed up nice and tight. So it's always good to know that it's sealed up correctly and there's not gonna be air leaks. But with that being said, let's pull apart the MOSHI, and then I might test fit to see if I can fit in the BASSDISK speaker inside of the MOKI speaker. Alright, so it's now time to pull the MOSHI apart. So let's pull the 3 screws that are possibly stripped out that secure the driver in. I might have to get, oh no, got it, sweet. So I'm gonna pull the 3 screws at the bottom of this out, put them separately, because they're obviously, I still haven't put my phone on silent. Oh my god, I apologize for that. But definitely much bigger screws on this one that are done in much tighter. I must have used a much bigger screwdriver last time, which would have been in my last video. So if I can undo it without stripping it, that would be great. I'm gonna get a bigger screwdriver for the last one, and then I'll open this one up too. Alright, so in order to unscrew the MOKI's speaker, I have to undo these two little screws here that hold this little plate in, and I'll place those screws just over there, and then I can unscrew the speaker, because if I didn't pull these screws here out and the other part, I wouldn't be able to get to, I don't know how to remove this, wouldn't be able to pull the speaker out because it's being stuck in through there. So I'm gonna pull the speaker out, and then we'll see if it's direct plug and play. All right, so I now have it all completely removed, and something tells me from the front look I've been getting, this is gonna be quite an interesting looking little speaker. Yes, we have an invert mount surround. Let's just zoom you nice and close in on this. We have a nice invert mount surround, and reasonably decent driver, nowhere near as, oh my god, yeah, it's definitely not gonna fit in the enclosure. But definitely nowhere near as good as the Moshi one. With that being said, the MOKI is definitely also quite an interesting looking driver. As you can see from this angle here, it has an inverted mount surround. So it's different to your typical surround that rolls out. This one rolls in. But with that being said, I'm going to try the other speaker in the enclosure, because why not? And then we'll see if I can secure it. If that doesn't work, then, well, we've just had a look inside. But if that does work, let's see what sort of sound we get out of it. Well, I made an idiotic mistake. If we have a look at the size of the cutout and then we stick the Moshi in, it's definitely not going to fit. So with that being said, we've at least got a nice look at the passive radiator there that is going to get some sick excursion when I'm pumping tunes through this thing. But with that being said, we've now got to look at the MOKI's speaker and its invert mount surround. And yeah, so that's what's inside of the MOKI BASSPOP and the Moshi bass disc. These are the drivers. We can see the bass discs is far beefier. If I just zoom you in, we can see much deeper mounting on, much deeper magnet. We also have a much deeper basket. And inside we can see that the Moshi is also vented for the voice coil, whereas the MOKI isn't. And it's just a far more flexible speaker. And it moves a lot more than the MOKI does. But yeah, so now we've had a look inside. I'm going to reassemble these things, and that's going to be calling it quits for this video. So if you watch the unboxing, you'll know that the MOKI has this really low-pitched tone on boot up. So I'm going to try and play it through the Moshi speaker and see if we can get some sort of sick excursion out of the thing. So let's do that right now. Well, that did a whole lot of nothing. So with that being said, the speakers mount straight into the other cabinets. Let's boot the MOKI up on the Moshi's amplifier as well. Maybe we can see which amplifier outputs more power and just piss around a bit more with some. So let's try that now. So the MOKI speaker is now connected to the amplifier board of the Moshi. Let's switch that on. I can feel the whole thing vibrating. The speaker definitely has some flex to it when it's cranked up nice and loud. So if you don't want flex in a Bluetooth speaker, the MOKI probably isn't for you, because it definitely has some vibrations. And I notice when it's sitting on a table just by itself, it definitely vibrates itself around. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so what I'm going to do instead is power the Moshi speaker on both of the amplifier boards to see which one outputs the most power. So it's currently hooked up to the Moshi amplifier board. Let's see how loud it gets off that. Alright, so we can see the speaker is moving a reasonable amount. Now let's hook it up to the MOKI amplifier board and see what sort of results we get on that. Alright, so now it's on the MOKI's amplifier, and it's noticeably quieter, but the speaker seems to be moving more. So maybe the amplifier board on this particular speaker outputs a lot more bass than the Moshi's one. It's definitely still not moving as much, so the Moshi definitely has the more powerful amplifier board. I'm going to play the MOKI speaker that's just over there onto the Moshi's amplifier board and see if we can get some sort of distortion out of the speaker. and then I'll put it all together and end the video there. Alright, so there's definitely some audible distortion on the MOKI's amplifier when the speaker starts to get close to bottoming out. So this speaker is nowhere near as powerful as that one just back there. The MOKI amplifier is also a lot more powerful, which I guess makes sense in as the MOKI is rated at 2 watts RMS and the MOKI is rated at 3. So with that being said, I'm going to assemble these back up and then I'll end the video. So to anyone who was commenting on the video where I put the extra battery inside, I've managed to get it in a specific spot now where it closes absolutely flawlessly without any issues. As we can see there's no lip. I can push it down further and it's not squishing the batteries anymore. So there you go. That's been fixed. I'm now going to screw it in and yeah. Alright, so if you've made it this far into the video, I'm just about to wrap it up, but before I do that, I'm going to do a sound comparison between the MOKI and the MOKI. Now keep into account the price. I picked this one up for $12, this one up for $27, this one normally goes for $30, this one goes for $50. I want you to comment in the comment section below which one you would rather pick when keeping into mind the expenses versus the sound quality. And if you were to go and buy one, which would it be? And if you were to go out and you had both, if you were to go take this out for a day, which one would you pick? With that being said, let's jump onto the sound demo, and that'll be the end of the video after that.
Ready.